going to a party. That's what I got into business for in the first place. Have a good time, you know.
Well, you know, that was in the mid-'80s somewhere. You did the whole thing with Rainbow, Richie Blackmore.
Right, that was earlier. That was when I met Ronnie first, actually. It was,
Ronnie was singing with Rainbow. That's right. Ronnie was singing Rainbow, and you were playing bass with Richie.
Yeah, it's a good story, actually. I was playing in a band. I had my own band in London, and I got a call middle of the night from Fergie, this friend of mine, Scottish guy, who was Richie's roadie, and he said, Richie's putting a new band together, and he's looking for a bass player, so I put your name forward. I said, you gotta be kidding, man, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sleeping. So the next day I'm on the phone talking to Blackmore, and, you know, he was my idol and stuff, you know, so at the end of the conversation he goes, well, you know, when are you playing next? And I said, well, you know, Sunday at the Marquee Club in London. He went, well, I guess I'll pop over and check you out, you know. He was in L.A. I went, yeah, right. So I'm telling my friends, my guys in the band, you know, Blackmore's going to come over and check me out, you know, so. Sure enough, Sunday came and we went up to the ship pub just up on Water Street there from the Marquee. And there's Blackmore, Ronnie James Dio, Bruce Payne, the manager, Fergie, and Disney Chips. And he flew over from L.A.
Did you think they just surprised you?
Well, I was quite confident he'd come over and check me out, but I had no idea he'd bring like 8, 9 people with him. You know.
Did he just yank you right out of that band, gave you the job?
Well, it's funny because the guys in my band really freaked out. The guitar player couldn't play a note. The drummer threw up over his drums. It was just debacle. And at the end of it, then I went, oh man, you guys blew out to be out here, you know. And so Richie and I went up to the pub afterwards. I said, I'm really sorry, man. You came all this way to see me. And he said, these guys just made you look good. Next week I was in the Rainbow.
Ronnie back then was that was before Black Sabbath days with Ronnie.
He had a band called Elf, and I guess they toured with Deep Purple. That's how Richie got to see Ronnie. And Richie took Ronnie on with his band, and then he basically got rid of all the guys in the band at that time.
Well, typical rock and roll, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were with Rainbow, right?
Yeah.
Ronnie was with Rainbow, right?
Then he went. I got booted out after about 2 years. You know, the honeymoon was over. Went around the world a couple of times. That was fine. Richie changed his mind about who he wanted to have in the band and what he wanted to play music-wise. It wasn't heavy anymore. He wanted to play pop sort of stuff. So I went back to London. I had a band for a couple of years with Brian Robertson from Thin Lizzy called Wild Horses. Ronnie went on to Black Sabbath. I did a bunch of sessions, things with Kate Bush and John Cale and a whole stack of things, and Ronnie worked in Sabbath for the 2 albums he did, Heaven Help My Moves. Then we go back together again when Dio formed. And that was kind of I didn't know it was going to be called Dio either. I thought maybe we'd get away from that thing and call it the Carpet or something. You know,
the rest would have been Wendy's idea. You know,
no way. No,
I don't know.
Wendy Dio.